my village and brought it into the mainstream economy of my town, of my village? What have I been up to for the past 8 months? That is the question you will be asking yourself, and you'll be correct to interrogate yourself. Some of you will be very disappointed with what you have done. Some of you will be very pleased with what you have done. But that is the question that must continue to encourage you to do more with less. You will be asking yourself, what are the sustaining growth strategies that my local authority has developed? How much have we attempted to attract local and international investment in our town, in our village? Which businesses have we been engaging in our town, in our village, in our region, across SADC? Who have I been speaking to as a councillor to get jobs into my local authority? Who have I been networking with over the past 9 months? And who do I intend to network with over the forthcoming 9 months, 2 years, 4 years, to transform lives of our people that have voted? You will also be expected to answer whether you have been a catalyst for effective interaction between private and public sector institutions. Have you spoken to the Development Bank on a very important business project proposal that your town has? Have you engaged the Agricultural Bank as a state institution to seek a loan for an agriculture program? In this instance also as a regional councillor, what have you done? What have you leveraged in terms of the resources that you have available in your town, in your regional council, to seek a loan to enhance productive capacity in your town, in your village? This is because the effective interaction between private and public sector institutions is a major enabler for developing a sustained growth model and ensuring that gaps are filled and that institutions are built to foster and promote investment. Moderator, ladies and gentlemen, inclusiveness in economics came from India as a terminology, and it demands that people are not left out of opportunities generated by growth, and that inequality must be limited, and that basic services should be available to all residents and citizens broadly. This means, amongst others, that bottom-up opportunities should exist for local enterprises. And so the question is, to what extent has decentralization occurred in your locality that has assisted you to liberate resources to help SMEs, to help local businesses? To what extent has decentralization or the laws that are governing councils, to what extent have they yielded to pivot to your agenda for economic empowerment of the local people? How many people have we empowered in Rehoboth Town Council over the past 8 years, 8 months? How many local enterprises have been developed in Marintal or in Keetmanshoop or in the heart of region? Which businesses are those? In which area? And by the way, do we even know what type of businesses we have in the locality? Who these business owners are? What their profiles look like? What their challenges are? Do we know where they have been looking for funds? Have we been with them in searching for funding? Have we been good stewards of the electoral mandate that we have been given? Or have we done what the liberal economists do? Each man sort himself out, each woman sort himself out. In the adverts that we have placed, even in terms of creation of economic opportunities, but also in hiring where there are vacancies, how has our electoral mandate been transmitted into an advertisement for a job of an HR official? If a position is available in Gibeon, would it be correct that somebody from an unknown village ends up as an HR officer in Gibeon Village Council? Would it be correct? If someone unknown to the people of Wolfish Bay ends up being the CEO, would it be correct? And what have you done to employment opportunities within local authorities for those that have elected you? One of the great warriors of this country is quoted many years back as saying, and I quote, "The responsibility of the Red Chiefs is to first and foremost protect their community." End quote. That chief is Hendrik Witbooi, who was writing to the Obaherero back in the days, suggesting that they not sign the protection treaties. If I can take that quote and transmit it to today's local and regional councils, your responsibility is to work for and fight for and stand up for and argue for and quarrel for and get angry for and scream for those that voted you. You have a constituency that voted for you, defined in a particular jurisdiction. Your election has not been a national election. You have a very well-defined jurisdictional mandate. That is where the best of what you must give should be given to the people at the time that it must be given, in the size that it must be given to them. That is what inclusiveness means. You cannot be working for another town, for another village, for another constituency. You are elected in law and in fact into a specific area, well mapped, with a particular population size. Very specific. You focus, and this forum will articulate this better, your best in that area. Therefore, when one looks at today's local authorities, leadership will be a key determining factor of success or failure. When last did a councillor read a book on leadership? When last did a councillor sit down and effectively read the rules, the governing statutes, the procedures, codes of conduct? When last did a councillor read the asset books of that town? How many councillors know what the budget amount of their towns and villages looks like? Because if you're a leader, you would know the profile of who and what you are leading. You would know the profile of what you have been handed over as a steward. You will not guess about it. You will know it. Part of the challenge on the African continent is that leadership has been equated with position holding, such that often local authority councillors become friends with administrators who they believe are the substantive local authority persons in charge, forgetting that the councils are the bodies of a region or of a local authority, not the CEO not the administration. Leadership would require a councillor to understand his or her place, to provide the right type of strategic and political leadership to the administration. And if the administration does not follow it, to deal with those administrators accordingly. Leadership would also know sufficiently enough what they don't know and would respect the good and well-thought advice of well-qualified and well-meaning, well-experienced administrators, and would respect those administrators and not interfere where they are not expected to interfere. Therefore, that convergence between the local authority councillors and the administration is very important. That convergent policies and programs and implementation timeframes and funding for programs and for empowerment projects, that convergence would help a bottom-up approach in which people at the local level would eventually obtain the benefits of a well-coordinated political, legal, administrative, and financial convergence at the top. You would recognize that land and housing delivery and sanitation remains high on the agenda because these are human rights concerns. And leadership would recognize that while it is a human rights concern that these non-tradable goods not only create jobs, but that it creates human security. Leaders would recognize that not a perfect land delivery system is what is wanted. Not a perfect one, but a place for a person to own a piece of property. How many times have we not said in places like Okahanja, Khobabas, just declare an area a reception area and take out children who are staying in slums with their parents so that they can start to live in the reception area. How many councillors, whether Karipe or Arandas or Ochivarongo or Marintal or Kietmans, have done this? That you start to take out young people who reside with their parents and allocate them a piece of land, even if that land is not serviced. People are not looking for perfect solutions. They are looking for leaders that are active and are busy in implementing programs bit by bit as it becomes available, day by day, as it is possible, and that there is a movement forward, not a stagnation or a movement backward. Together with regional authorities, it would be necessary for investments in agriculture and better education systems at local level to be made, so that we begin to construct a new reality of rekindling a broad opportunity for all. To this extent, how many local authorities have been helping young students to fund them where they need assistance with scholarships? How many? How many local authorities have put up junior town councils to begin to reinvest in young people and empowerment of young people and to begin to teach them about leadership traits and characteristics? How many? These are questions that you will be engaging in at this forum. These are not my questions. These are remarks that I was asked to make, and I will go and sit down now. How many local authority councillors can tell us today from the top of their head where there are sick people in the locality, where there are people that are not able to walk, where there is a pensioner that needs a new mattress? How many local authority councillors, how many regional constituencies does that? How many local authority councillors, as part of the leadership ethos, pay a visit to the constituents that voted for them for which they were willing to go to their houses, even if you cannot walk into that house. And we were kissing and clapping hands with this poor person. How many councillors have gone back to those that we wanted to kiss or that we were hugging when we needed their votes? How many of us have gone back to these communities? Or have the positions that we occupy, the glittering and glamorous suits and shoes, the nice and beautiful ties, the new cars that we are driving, the new titles, the nice types of food that we are eating, made us distant from the person that we were saying we will fight for you? Because the word goes that the state institutions transform the individual more than they transform the state institution. Have we been absorbed by the administration and by the local authorities that we are now the status quo, that we explain things even better than the administrators do, why it should not be done? Have we left our revolutionary morality? Because if I fight the fight of justice, I will not be given the letter by the CEO that invites me to go to a meeting in a faraway town through which I can obtain subsistence and travel allowance so that I can buy the new tires of my car or that I can buy the new furniture. What has happened to our revolutionary morality? Have we already been absorbed? Have we been transformed? Or are we transforming the institutions? Because that is what must happen. You must be able to transform the institution toward your morality, toward your revolutionary stand, a people-centered approach in policy and program. That's what the mayor was saying. So this forum will therefore be a constant reminder of where the councillors come from and where they will go back to. Because the mandate rests with the sovereign, not in the chambers. The mandate ultimately rests with the sovereign that must decide your fate as a councillor, not your colleagues. Many countries that have developed across the world have developed because of strong leaders who are constantly willing to learn, that recognize what they did not know, that were not ashamed to ask for opinions and advice, but who would sit up at night and read and learn until they began to master the trade in which they were mandated to do good for community. Where are we as local authority councillors? In fact, as a nation, where are we? Do we have hard-working leaders, whether they are at parliament, whether they are at ministerial level, deputy ministerial level, at governor level? Can we point today to an example of any governor, her work? You will be thinking for a very long time. Can we point to a minister, even a parliamentarian, that is doing exceptionally well? You will be thinking for a long time. You will be thinking for... And that is why, Honorable Mayor, we constantly ask the question, are we doing the right thing with the mandate we've been given in the National Assembly? How do we improve it? How do we perfect it? How do we enhance our own individual capabilities to do better than our best? The temptation of leaders on the continent has been private accumulation of public resources, and other foreign countries have helped that process, where bribes are paid for councillors to take decisions in favor of that business, where bribes are paid for councillors to take a decision that they would have taken ordinarily. so that the positions that we occupy become our private fiefdom. That fiefdom we hold on to by all means. But when you look at what has been done over the past 5 years or 10 years by that very councillor, there is very little that we can see. Societies that have developed have had leaders, not the most intelligent necessarily, but the most hardworking. They were leaders who were honest and loved their communities. They were leaders who had a great vision for their people and their society, in love with themselves, but in love with the people. And the question then comes, does your budget as a regional councillor, as a local authority councillor, reflect that love affair with the people? Are you the one constantly on the road seeking S&Ts? Or is your budget of such a nature that you are catering for the granddad, that you are catering for the young child, that you are catering for houses in areas where there is a need, where the salaries of administrators and councillors, the allowance that they receive, are not pushed up, that housing allowances and other salary benefits are in between the budget items hidden somewhere, because councillors don't read, administrators can quickly give themselves a 20% salary increment, because councillors did not take the time to read the budget document. Where are we? Where are we in the scope of things? I'm finishing, Your Worship. I wrote 8 pages, I will finish at 4. What is it, therefore, that you speak to yourself about? How many books on investment during the past 8 months, on economic policies, on rural economic development? How many documents were read? Who have you consulted to guide you? Who are your mentors as a councillor that you can speak to assist you in amplification of an issue that is not very clear to you? Are you engaging academic institutions, professors? Are you friends with these people? Or are you friends with a shebeen owner who needs another shebeen license so that you can also benefit after you retire from the profits of the shebeen? Are you the person who was upright before elections, and when money came, the residents of the town complained about your drinking habits that suddenly appeared from nowhere? These are the questions that confront modern-day Africa. And African institutions are either broken or built by the conduct or lack thereof by those that are responsible to lead society. These are the issues: ethics, integrity, willingness to learn, upright character, the thirst for the thirst to understand theory and practice. These are the intellectual tools and the essence of what modern-day leadership needs to have from those that are councillors, both regional and local. What are we learning from our international friends and partners? What are we going to learn from the Indians? Do we know what they have done with their economy? What are we going to learn from the Chinese or the Koreans or the Germans? Are we engaging in sharpening our ability to understand how the economy works of this country? These are the questions that would confront us and should confront us. And so therefore, Honorable Worship, the Mayor, training and capacity building endeavors are required through this forum, so that those crucibles of quality leadership and quality policy deliberations at the regional and local council level perform more often. Nothing can be more urgent than capacity and skills building. Nothing can be more urgent than a councillor that knows what he or she does at a council meeting. Nothing can be more urgent than a councillor that can articulate the dreams and the aspirations, the wishes, the hopes of their communities. And so the often said cliche is, be the change you want to be. Are we the change that you hope to see during our lifetime? And what is it that we have done to fast-track economic freedom for our electorate? Have we done anything? Or has it been a compilation of excuses after excuses? And have people, transformed themselves from being followers to being leaders? I say this, Your Worship, colleagues, because too often, councillors who are supposed to be in charge of institutions complain about the problems in the institution on matters that they can decide upon in one council meeting. In other words, they have not crossed the bridge from being a follower to being a leader. They have not crossed that psychological bridge, maybe because they fear that they don't have the capacity. Maybe because they were just lucky to be around. There are others of our colleagues in this who hope to obtain political office, but once they are made a chairperson, even do the most basic thing of conducting a meeting. How can such a person liberate their community and lead in a 21st century continent if a simple thing as chairing a meeting cannot be done by such a person? Why do we have these problems? Because often political parties and their leaders, in order to survive long in political office, reduce the quality and content of those that must be in leadership. And as a result of that process over the past 30 years, many African countries have seen a decline in quality and content of leaders, both national, regional, and local. It's a continent-wide problem, leadership. I want to tell a story that when I was working for the Namibian government, we traveled to China, strong workshops about economic policy. We then had a meeting with the 13th Command in China. At that meeting, I felt so embarrassed, Your Worship, the Mayor, colleagues, because one of the senior leaders then in the party that I was in before, meeting the third highest official in China, was asking for old computers perhaps, so that we can help our children back in Namibia. Imagine how I felt that you come to the second largest economy, flying so far, merely to ask for old computers. The Chinese could also not understand the request. You could see there was a commotion, because how do you ask for old things if you want to build a different knowledge-based society? And your documents state that you want to build a knowledge-based society. I couldn't dig a hole, so I had to sit through the meeting. The Chinese never gave a response to that answer, to that question. One other example, in South Korea, we were taught a number of things about development and how they have done it. The question of leadership, the question of public-private sector engagement in transformative leadership, the question of the economy and how they started to build their country from shipbuilding to a higher base. And today, South Korea is probably the most advanced country in terms of internet access and all those types of technologies. Probably not just economy, which at independence was far poorer than Ghana. But today Ghana is still in the poorest group. South Korea is up there. Leadership. As we were taught about these things for 2-3 days, every time we go for lunch, and here we were with ministers, deputy ministers, executive directors, then permanent secretaries. Every time we go on a lunch break, this important and empowering educational information that we're given about how to transform society. As we enter the elevator to go and eat, there would always be 2 or 3 of the ministers or who would dismiss what we were taught just now. Higher concentration capacity. No, this will work only with strong neighbors or strong support from the US. This will not work with Africans. It's not our thing. We must take care of cattle and sheep. Right? Why don't you tell them what you actually think, so that we don't waste our time and we don't stop speaking. I went to Australia with a very important person that I was working for. As we landed in Sydney, I asked this leader, do you think we can get to this point? We are just writing these things to sell it. So the question is, you and I, as councillors, where are we? There are budgets, there are staffing issues, there are SME issues. Where are we in building a strong Stampriet, a strong Gogas, a strong Keetmanshoop, a strong Karasburg, Gibeon, Malte here? Where are we in building those cornerstones to lift our society forward? Building a strong Rehoboth, building a strong Swakop, Karibib, Kamanya. Where are we? Or are we only playing along, walking the same route that has been walked without changing anything, because we don't believe in change? On that note, and with those questions, I therefore officially declare this meeting open and wish you all the well and best in your deliberations, and trust that out of this meeting will come deliverables, country, our towns, our villages, to a higher level of economic activity that will lift you of leadership potential, that will liberate you from being a complainant to a transformer, from being a complainant to an agent of good hope, to an agent of impact-based. On that note, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. I will again ask Esme Songbird and Vivian for a selection, and then we go to the vote of thanks.
This next song is dedicated to all the black women and men. Can I get an amen? So now I stop eating, but ons is any seder. So ik kan net beginnen met die beweeg ook al tree daar doch oba klaar. Siska anusa sisen Abi Arokogu, Kubu Arokogu, Kubu Arokogu. Today, Mr. Clopton Kadiha. Nukwe, Darekwe, Daikosuska, Anusa, Season Trabese, Karikam, I'll say, Danke.
Thank you. Now, next on the program, I'll call upon the Honorable Frances Haverses, the Chairperson of the Management Committee of Marintal Municipality, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Director of Proceedings, Honorable Bernarda Soarboy, Member of Parliament of the National Assembly, as well as the Leader and Chief Change Campaigner of LPM, His Worship Adam Kulman, Members of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. It is my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion. I am Frances Francesca Gavases, the Chairperson of the Management Committee of Marintal Municipality. I wish to extend a warm vote of thanks to all of you for gracing this important conference. You will all agree with me that the speech which was delivered by our leader, the Honorable Bernarda Soarboy, was touching on very important issues of good governance and public administration and management. The advice that he provided to us on the effective and efficient service delivery at both the regional council and local authority level was critical, as this will enhance and enrich our work as the servants of the people. I wish to once again offer a big thank you to our leader, the Honorable Bernarda Soarboy, for his brilliant speech and motivational words. From now on, we shall double our efforts to deliver on what we have promised our residents in our plans. Further, we are grateful to our Mayor, His Worship Honorable Adam Kulman, for welcoming all our invited guests to this beautiful town, Tsaraga Ibis. Enjoy the hospitality that our beautiful town offers. Tsaraga Ibis is the gateway to southern Namibia, the land of beauty and contrast. I also wish to express our gratitude to Pastor Kukuri for his morning devotion and inspiration. Our sincere thanks also goes to the media for giving an excellent coverage to this conference. We are also very much grateful to all the sponsors of this conference and service providers. And we would also like to acknowledge our gratitude to all delegates and members of Parliament for sharing this platform with us. Well, Honorable Bernarda Soarboy, ladies and gentlemen, an event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheel started months ago. It required planning and an eye for detail. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues who know their job and the result-orientated. I cannot thank everyone enough for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zones. A new baby has been born today. Let us give our full cooperation and input today and tomorrow, so that we emerge with good resolutions and recommendations for implementation. With these few words, I thank you all for your time. I wish you a productive 2 days ahead. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Haverses. Now, we are about to close off this official opening session, but there have been a request now that people, because this event is being broadcasted live, people want to know whether their leaders are here, the mayors and the chairpersons. Now, we wanted to do the roll call after the tea break, but people want to know whether their mayors and chairpersons are here. Starting with the host, Marintal. The mayor is here. He did the welcoming remarks. Then we start at the top, Rehoboth. I saw the mayor is also here from Rehoboth. Carl Grant, the chairperson, is here. Malta Hoy, the chairperson, the regional councillor is also here. The chairperson is here. And then we move to Gojas. Gojas is the chairperson is here. Stambrit, present. Aranos, present. That's done. Hard up, ne? Oh, Gibeon, sorry. How can I forget Gibeon? My apologies. My second hometown. And then we go to Kietmans. The mayor is here. Luderets, she's here as well. The mayor. Oranjemund, present. Karasberg, present. We have Tses, present. Quest, also present. Aroap, present. Betani, present. Berseba, also present. We covered all the local authorities, isn't it? So they are all represented. Okay, let's rise for the AU and national anthems. And then just before we start, then we'll take a 30 minutes tea break. We are way behind schedule. 30 minutes tea break, and then we'll come back. First the AU and then the national anthem.
Let us all unite and celebrate together the victories won for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity. Oh, sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky, let us make Africa the tree of life. Namibia, land of the brave, freedom fight, we have won. Glory to the bravery whose blood waters our freedom. We give our love and loyalty together in unity, contrasting beautiful Namibia, Namibia, our country, beloved land of savannas, hold high the banner of liberty. Namibia, our country, Namibia, motherland, we love thee.
Thank you. The tea will be served in the tent, just in front of the hall. 30 minutes.
Lion of Judah, we
Hello, the mayors and chairpersons, the NBC wants to do interviews with you. So if they approach you, please avail yourself.
Lion of Judah, we worship you. Lion of Judah, you are holy. Lion of Judah, we worship you. Lion of Judah, you are holy. Mamuri na wana soro, Mamuri antina kita, Mama papiro enu, Taga chigetetwa, Mamuri na wana soro, Mamuri antina kita, Mama papiro enu, Taga chigetetwa. Lion of Judah, we worship you. Lion of Judah, you are holy. Lion of Judah, we worship you. Lion of Judah, you are holy.
Okay, so I'm sure apparently. Yeah.